So we're in session 4. Now, this thing is going a little bit harder than I thought it would go. So I told you, like, this series is on how to identify a spiritual partner. And so we're using Genesis chapter 2, starting at verse 18, and just watching how God looks at Adam and says, man, it's not good that this guy's alone. So he says, I'm going to make a helper comparable to him. And God reaches in the dirt and starts making all of these animals and starts bringing the animals to Adam to see what he would call them. And Adam names every animal, roach and ant and aardvark and hippopotamus. And Adam starts naming these animals. And so after Adam names all of these animals, then the Bible says that God notices he doesn't identify a helper comparable to him. So I've talked about how before you can identify a partner, you have to know your purpose. The second thing we talked about is before you have to either, when you get a partner, you identify a partner, you're either going to choose a partner or you may be choosing a pet, meaning that. Hey, so welcome to session 4. Listen, I'm so glad to have you here. I'm glad you're sticking with me. Again, this is another brief segment, but I want to give this teaching tonight. It's spontaneous words, so we're just giving a teaching that wasn't planned, wasn't scheduled. As you can still see, I still have couch dust and couch stuff on me from earlier, just to show you that this wasn't planned. But I wanted to drop this word tonight. So we're talking about identifying partners. There's maybe a partner in ministry, maybe a partner in marriage, maybe a partner in the workplace. But I want to talk about this because it's so critical that we have the right people around us when it comes to handling the business we're given by God. So in session 1, we talked about how you have to know your purpose before you can identify a partner. If you really don't know who you are, you're going to have a very hard time identifying who needs to walk alongside you. In the second session, we asked, are you choosing a partner or are you choosing a project? If you're bringing a person alongside you and you realize they really don't fit you, but they probably could fit you one day if you work with them, then you really don't have a person that's comparable. You have a version of a person in your mind that's different than the person that's really in front of you. And you bring them on as a project, as if you're God, as if you're a manufacturer, as if you can make them into who they're supposed to be. And you often end up choosing a project instead of a partner. The last session, we talked about how you could choose a partner. Sometimes if you're not careful, you'll end up choosing a prize, meaning that you bring a person into your life because they make you look good, but they end up spending most of their time on the shelf instead of in your space. So in this next session, I want to talk about how when Adam sees these animals, the Bible says God brings these animals to him and Adam starts naming them, but he doesn't name an animal that's comparable to him. Watch this. Adam notices something in these animals. If you let me use my holy imagination, Adam realizes they work, but their work ethic matches their species, but not him. In other words, they're good for another animal like themselves, but they're not good for him. So for a hippopotamus, another hippopotamus is cool. But for a human, a hippopotamus doesn't work. And the real factor is this, that they're good for pulling, but they're not good for pouring. And when you talk about partnership should never be a unilateral agreement. It should never be something that you do in isolation. It's a dialogue. It's a shared experience. And so he realizes that I can take care of them, but they really can't take care of me. But what I can do is I can feed them, I can lead them, and I can take them different places, but they really can't do anything for me. In other words, Adam realized if I take this animal on, they won't be a partner. They'll really just be a pet. And the way you know a pet is a pet always takes more than it gives to the relationship. You got to feed it. You got to wash it. You got to walk it. You got to clean up after it. But when it comes down time for what they bring, all they do is bark. Ooh, I know that hurt. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to go that deep tonight. But I know it's a little rough, but I'm sorry. But this is the fact. Because a whole lot of people have pets, but not partners. And so when you look at their lives, a pet is cool if all you want is something to control. But if you want something to actually pour back into the space, a pet is frustrated. And so many people choose to identify pets instead of partners. And so what they end up getting is a person that will take from them, that will pull from them. And in exchange, all they can really give is a bark and warmth. And let me just say this parenthetically, because there's some people like, look, I really want a man, I really want a woman, I want a person to be in my life. And I'm just telling you this, if you're serious about a partner, stop settling for a pet. Because a pet can't really do anything for you, and before you know it, you will expend the resources that you were reserving for a partner on a pet that can never give you the return of investment that you were really looking for. And there's some people right now, you may be watching this with a pet. You know the pets when you see them. Don't try to trip and act crazy. Like, you know the pets. You know when you cutting all the checks and they looking at you cut them. They're never putting anything on anything. They just taking heat and taking air and drinking water and having a good time eating up all your meat in the refrigerator and you sitting there paying all the bills. That's a pet. If all they're good for is answering the door or running to the window to tell you who's on the way in, that's a pet. If all they're good for is using the bathroom and letting you clean up after they mess everything up, then that's a pet. If you're doing all the work and they're doing all the lounging, you got a pet. And so I want to just challenge you, my sisters, because some sisters and some brothers like pets. You like people that you can control and people that you can say sit and they sit. People you can say come here and they come here. But here's the thing. At some point in the journey, you'll find out that having a pet becomes draining in a way that you cannot be replenished simultaneously. So you end up giving everything to make sure the pet is good, but the pet can't give you what you gave it. And that's what Adam understood. He understood that it's not about me feeling comfortable. It's not about me having an ego and running some animal around this place. I have a responsibility to God in this garden. And if I'm going to bring anything or call anything a partner in this journey, it will be someone that works alongside me to help double that which is coming from me, so that when God looks at the work ethic, he can clearly see that I have a sound ability to discern the difference between that which will pull and that which will partner. So here's the question for this segment. Do you have a fetish for pets? And do you have a problem giving pets the wrong title and then getting frustrated when you find out all they are a bark, a bite, and some pulling? And so I challenge you tonight to really ask yourself one question. Am I connected to someone that can pour into my life just like I can pour into theirs? Am I connected to someone that will help me produce that which God has given me? Or am I connected to someone that leaves me emptier every time I encounter them? That ends this section. We'll see you in 10 more minutes. God bless you.